You probably remember the story of the three little pigs making a house of straw. In Uptown in Minneapolis, there is a straw house that is yet to be blown over by a big bad wolf, and the owner and builder of that home, Katie Jones, who is also a state representative, joining us now. Hi, Katie. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
This I was reading all about in your blog and about the ideals behind this, and then the actual physical construction of it. You know, you think a straw house, it's not like you see it. It's not like a sod hut or something. You know, that straw bales are used within the walls as a form of basically insulation. Why is straw, in your view, in building this, why was that the obvious choice to try to build a home, or not try, you did build a home using bales of straw?
Yes, so thank you for the question. This here behind me is the Uptown Straw House. Most my husband and I were really interested in sustainability, and I care about building a more just, resilient, and thriving Minnesota. And so part of that is thinking differently. And so when we think about how our construction works today, it's a lot of fossil fuel based materials, foams, and plastics, and a lot of things that people don't really know are in their homes. And I think if people knew that these are the types of materials going into their homes, they may start to question it. And so we started questioning it. We ultimately learned that there is an international construction code standard for straw bale construction, and so we followed the journey from there.
Katie, show us a little bit more. I mean, this is a home that you built, and I was looking at it. This is something where you took down a detached garage and built this home in its place?
Yes, exactly. So we used something just exactly like this straw bale down here.
Yeah.
And they are in the walls, and you can see the thickness of the walls here. So our walls are about 2 feet thick. That makes sure that we have really well insulated walls.
Yeah, and so it's straw bales that are stacked. I mean, there is a wood structure, a framing of a house with the straw bales, and then is it 3 layers of plaster that you put over it?
Correct. So a straw bale wall is really a system. It's you stack the bales as if you're laying bricks, and then on top of that you put on this 2x2 inch wire mesh, and that kind of creates some stability, as well as an interface or a face for the plaster to adhere to. And so you can see some of the pictures of our community build for the straw bale wall itself. We had a general contractor build that framed up structure. You can also see some of the X bracing that is in there. So actually, this is, if there is a tornado, if there are strong winds, this is the place you want to go. The big bad wolf will not blow it down. And here you can see the final.
Yeah, and then I understand too that you had to place a number of moisture sensors within the walls themselves to keep make sure the moisture level of the straw, is it below 20%? Is that right?
Correct. So this is just, that was a requirement of the city of Minneapolis, because 20 years ago, there was not a standard for straw bale construction. There was a home that failed, and so there was hesitancy from the building official. And so to overcome that, we wanted to cross our T's, dot our I's. And so while most people do not need to put moisture sensors in the walls, we are collecting data so that the people after us can have that sense of well-being, that this works. The mitigation measures that we did for moisture are indeed working, and those are best practice.
Yeah, and just to make sure there's no mold growing in there. And then, you talk about it being can sustain winds like a house that doesn't have straw. What about fire? Is there concern there? Is there anything different in terms of how it would respond to a fire?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are actually 4 documented cases from the campfires in California in 2017 of straw bale homes that withstood those fires. Because if you think about it, a straw bale wall has plaster on either side. Plaster is just lime, sand, and water. Those are not materials that readily catch fire. Also, the bale itself is reticent. It does not readily change temperature. And so because of both of those things, straw bale structures they have a fire rating that is twice as good as code requires.
Yeah, and then you think about it too, when it burns, unlike, as you mentioned, all the plastic-based items that are in typical construction with the insulation and the wrapping, et cetera, this would not emit some of the same toxins into the air.
Exactly.
Wow. So this is the only, was there one other structure in St. Paul built from straw?
So there is a garage in Minneapolis in kind of the southeast Como area that is straw bale.
Okay. So how much, I assume you get a lot of questions like we're having today. I mean, how much interest do you think there is from other people, and how much reality is there that we may see more structures built like this in the coming years?
Yeah, I love that question. And, I'm under no illusion that straw bale construction is going to suddenly become the norm. Our intent here was really to start the conversation and to start people, asking the questions of what materials are we putting in our homes? Are those the materials that we think are healthiest for our families? And should we start, thinking differently about what we're putting in our walls, putting on our walls? And this is, straw bale is just one opportunity to do use more natural materials. Hempcrete is another, and there's some excellent leadership coming from the Lower Sioux Indian community with Danny Desjardins in building, using hemp as a raw material, also mixing in lime. So these things that we know are healthier for our families. And, at the end of the day, I know that I am only about a mile from downtown. My house may not stand for the next couple of hundred years. And so I want my house to be as compostable and recyclable as possible. And so that's how we ended up here.
Okay. I don't know if you want to talk about how much it costs to build and how that compares to a standard construction.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't actually know the comparison because we didn't attempt to build a standard construction, so I don't have that delta. I can say what probably drove the biggest cost is that we're doing an infill lot. I don't have an alley. This structure, as you said, is taking the place of a former garage. So the biggest hurdles probably were more about the movement on the property and where to put materials during the construction process, rather than the cost of the materials itself.
All right. Well, I know we can see a lot of pictures of the process of the build on your, I can't remember which website of yours I was looking at, but it was very fascinating. Lastly, do you know how many bales that you used?
Yeah, it's about 600 bales. We got them from Frederick, Wisconsin. There's an app called Hey Map, and that's how I was able to source bales locally. That's the other thing we want to stress here is there's an economic development component. We don't have oil here in Minnesota, so we're not going to be producing any of those plastics, but we do produce a lot of natural materials that can go into our buildings.
All right. Thanks for joining us. It's really cool to see that house. And when did you finish it?
December of 23.
Okay, and it looks great. Looks great. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this lovely Friday afternoon. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one.